All right, my name is Natasha, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is November 25th, 2017. And I am just truly grateful for the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. That means in about 2 months, by the grace of God, I will celebrate 8 years. Funny fact, my sponsor forgot to tell me that year 7 tends to be a little kooky-doo. And she's right. And what I have found is that the program always asks of me when I think I have no value. This last year has been a struggle internally, and we'll get into that. And I'm just super grateful that I didn't take a drink. And I didn't take a drink because no matter what, I was here. I was willing to sponsor women. I came to meetings. I read my big book. I was doing all the things, most of all the things that kept me connected enough that I didn't drink. And what I can tell you is I never thought about drinking. Drinking was never on my radar. But it clearly says in how it works that we have to be rigorously honest. And it says it 3 times in the first paragraph, okay? And I was keeping something. I was keeping some things. And I'm not talking about like affairs and thievery and like major things, right? So to me, I was like, well, it's just not that important. And I did it for quite a while, for about a year. And the reality is if we do not share our secrets, if we do not give ourselves completely to this program and to our sponsors, to another human being, and God, I will drink again. I will. And it won't look like, ooh, that beer looks good. It'll look like, hey, you don't really have to tell her that thing, you know? Or hey, you're not doing things right, or you're not good enough. It shows up like that constantly if I'm not being rigorously honest. And that's this cunning, baffling, powerful thing of alcoholism is it doesn't look like, here, you need a drink. It looks like, hey, you're a screw up. What are you going to do about it, you know? When you get a little bit of time. I still feel like I'm a newcomer. The first time I came in here this time, there was somebody here who'd had some years, went back out, and I guess he was back in the program, and he said, I have to come in here like I don't know anything every single time. Because as soon as I think I know, yeah, but I'm going to drink. And that's our step 1 truth. If you have a good sponsor like the one that I have, we spend a lot of time talking about the disease of alcoholism, not alcohol, the disease of alcoholism, which is that, yes, I suffer from the allergy, plain and simple. When I take one, I cannot stop, and I've tried. It talks in the big book about trying different drinks, geological, moving, a different man, all the things to try to stop drinking, and it never worked, right? And I've had times of sobriety, and why would I drink again? In light of the havoc that it wreaks in my life, why would I drink again? Well, it's because I have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. And what I can tell you is that I think it's always been like that. I remember being a young girl, young, 3, 4, and I remember thinking, these people are aliens. They're so weird to me. I just don't understand them. Like in preschool. Like, how do they just sit down and play blocks together? I remember thinking, like, maybe I'm just too smart. Maybe I'm just smarter than everybody else, right? I just knew that I felt different since I could remember. I'm not going to spend too much time in the mess, but I think it's super important that you understand who I am without a conscious contact with God. And what that means is that I was not awake, I was not aware, I was not in connection with God. I did not grow up in church. I'm from Orange County, California. Woo! Okay. Spent about 20-something years, 26 years of my life. Yeah, I've been here 20 years now. That just dated me, so ignore that. I'm a Texan now. It was a suburban house. I was raised by a single mom. I had a half sister. We had different dads. My mom smoked more menthol cigarettes and drank black coffee. She had an identical twin sister, and that was her life. She was extremely intelligent. She was a CPA. We had one of the first computers in home. She could take the computer apart and put it back together when it was really, really, really super intelligent. My dad was an alcoholic, and she divorced him when I was 6 months old or something, and he was kind of in and out of my life when he was sober. I know now he was actually in Alcoholics Anonymous at one point. So my mother did not have the capacity to love. I don't know what her story was. It breaks my heart that I'll never be able to ask her. And so she wasn't a horrible mom. She didn't date, didn't do drugs. When she took a sip of wine, she said, "Ooh, it makes me feel tipsy. I don't want any more." She didn't like the feeling of out of control. When I drink, from the moment I started, I was like, "Oh yeah, this feels good. I don't want to feel in control," right? And so when I was really, really young, I had some sexual trauma from a family member. For a couple of years. I do not feel bad. Like, I don't feel sorry for myself about it. And what I can tell you is I know 100% that is not why I'm an alcoholic. Did I drink over it? Sure. Did I use it as an excuse to manipulate men? Heck yeah. But that is not why I'm an alcoholic. What it did do is it changed my perception of love and worth, being worthy. I was a very... I desperately just wanted hugs and to be held and loved. And my mother was not capable of it. And so when these things happened in my life, I learned a couple things. I learned, one, I have something of value. I learned, two, if I need attention or affection, this is how I'm going to get it. And that's how I grew up. I was terrified of people. Terrified. I hid under the desks at school every single year up until the third grade. Terrified. My mom would come and pick me up and they'd say, "She's still hiding underneath the desks." I do not know how on earth I kept graduating from grade to grade because I don't remember ever doing homework. I think back then they didn't have as high standards, and they were just like, "Well, she's smart enough. Keep sending her." And that's really how I graduated high school. I have no idea how. When I was 11 or 12, I finally started feeling the need to meet people. And I met a girl. She had an older brother. We went to this house party. They had a fog machine. It was in the garage. And I had my first drink. And Nirvana's Teen Spirit was playing. And they were real cool. They had long hair and booze and drugs and all the things. So yeah, I totally respect Alcoholics Anonymous, but I did lots of drugs too. Lots. In fact, the first time I came into AA, I was convinced I'm not an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. And I spent a long time convinced of that. So anyways, I had that first drink, and here's the deal. I broke out of my shell. I was no longer afraid. I felt taller and skinnier and smarter. I felt a part of. And I sought that for the next 20-something years. I am on my third marriage. I have 4 different last names. I have 4 children. The last 2 with the same man, but my first 2 with different dads. I did not raise them. Thank you, God, that I was smart enough to know that they deserved to have a better life than what I could provide for them. I spent most of my teenage years doing a lot of snow skiing and devil's dandruff and, the lettuce. And I remember sitting in parked cars waiting for the dealer to show up. But what I remember is that underlining it all, there was always booze. There was always alcohol. I got to be about 21 and got pregnant and got married because that's the order I do things in. And sobered up, right? I didn't, I was pregnant when I was 21. On my 21st birthday, I smoked a little bolo and got drunk, and then I didn't touch it again. My whole pregnancy. I had a beautiful daughter. My husband and I moved in with my mother because I don't know how to take care of myself. As I got older, my mom, I started kind of taking care of her, so she'd give me her debit card. When I was a teenager, I think I was 16 years old, and I was dating this guy who was 26 years old, and I'd be gone for days at a time, and she was so worried about me. I see it now, the love that she had for me, that she rather that we moved in her house, knowing we were doing drugs, and living under her roof, so at least she knew I was alive. Oh, that was insane. I spent a lot of time in parked cars waiting for the guy to come. So I had my daughter. Turns out that my husband was also a heroin addict, and spent about a year trying to get him sober. And I was pretty clean. I think I was smoking some stuff, some, herbs, some natural stuff. But I wasn't drinking. And I finally left him or kicked him out. And then something happened. My mom would watch my daughter, and I'd go out and party all night. Party. I was hanging out with people that were committing crimes. My daughter was 2 years old, and I got in the back of this guy's car, and they went and robbed a gas station while she was in the back seat. It didn't even faze me. The SWAT team came to my mother's house, and I was not home, and because I was driving the car registered in her name that it happened in, and they went in there with guns and everything and made her hit the ground and all the things. And my mother was a square, a square. She was not. I'm sure she only saw those things on TV, and she still loved me, and she still let me live there. I think it was her way of trying to settle me down was moving here to Texas. It's kind of a long story, but I ended up here in Texas in 2004. August of 2004. Found out I was pregnant, and the guy moved to Texas to be near me and everything. That Christmas of 2004, Christmas Day, I told my mom I was pregnant. And she told me she loved me, and it didn't matter, and she would support me. I took some sips of wine or something. But for the first time ever, she told me she loved me. I remember I was still smoking then too. I remember sitting in the garage where we were smoking cigarettes together, and she told me she loved me. And I know today that I think she knew she was going to die that day. And so I was drinking. My sister had said, hey, can you keep an eye on her? Because she took a sip of wine. We said grace, and we ate, and she said she wasn't feeling good. She went into her room, and then I was drinking, so I was arguing with the baby daddy guy, and finally went in to check on her, and she had died. She had a heart attack. The ambulance came, they tried to revive her, it didn't work. So here's the thing, I'm 26 years old, I've never supported myself. My mother has supported me my entire life. My sister, who's 13 years older than me, left when I was 5, and she was like my mother. She took care of me. She had moved all the way to Texas to be close to us as a family, moved her whole family, and it was just a nightmare. My mom had so much debt that we had to sell everything to pay off her debt. And I had to move into an apartment with baby daddy guy, who I knew I didn't love. Thank you, I didn't marry him. And I was just drinking. And I had my daughter, who was like 4 or 5, and I had my new baby boy. During this whole process, I had been working at a doctor's office, right? And when you're pregnant and you have to have medication, they will only give you pain pills. like Vicodin. That's the only safe thing when you're pregnant. And I ran with it. After she died, I started calling in prescriptions. I had the number, that the doctors have. I forget what it's called. But I did that for like 6 months. And I got caught, of course. And when I got caught, the police officer said, you're just a soccer mom. And we're not going to arrest you, but you're going to have to turn yourself in. I did all that. I ended up with 3 deferred felonies of controlled substance by fraud, 10 years of probation. I'm living in a crappy apartment. I can't stay sober. I'm not in love with this guy. In fact, I pretty much detest this guy. He liked to play World of Warcraft. Like it till 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you something. I only just shared this with one person because this is one of those things that's like, oh my God. I literally laced his Dr. Pepper with Benadryl so that I could go out. Like, that's who I am without a conscious contact with God. For real. Right? Oh my God. Thank God he wasn't allergic to it and didn't die or something. My probation officer basically said I must have been 27, 28. He finally said something like, and I've been trying to do probation. I couldn't stay sober. I was doing drugs. I was staying out the bar playing Texas Hold'em. Was in a club. I was having the time of my life with a baby and a little girl at home with some guy that didn't really, I finally sent her to live with my daughter with her dad in North Dakota because he had sobered up and had an amazing wife, and I haven't seen her since that day. I have my little baby boy, Charlie. He's amazing. My probation officer said, hey, you got a choice. You can either go to treatment or I'm going to have to revoke your probation. And again, but you're a soccer mom. I have this image, this stage character that I present to people. Mind you, I'm having sex with all these different guys, having them buy my drinks. I'm in a relationship. Like it was bad, right? Doing a bunch of devil's dandruff. That was my favorite. And my probation officer really thought I was this soccer mom. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go to treatment. I think I was like 2 years into probation. Anyways, that's what brought me to Waco. I went to the Freeman Center. It was 2008. Freeman Center. It was an amazing time. My son's dad and my son, he was about 3 at the time, dropped me off right there on 15th Street, which is God, a block away from Sunshine Recovery House now. Every day I drive by there, and I remember saying goodbye to my son because it was the last time I saw him. I got sober, did the 90 days, all the fun things, and was dead serious about recovery. And here's the thing. I had a sponsor. I was talking about God, but I had no connection to God. I didn't know what it meant to believe in a power greater than myself. I was just doing whatever they said to do. And the obsession never went away. And I drank again. And so I'm 29. And this is the progression of alcohol. I'm 29 years old. I'm on my own for the first time ever. No kids. Already given away the 2 kids I have. I'm living in a trailer with some old dude because he was the only one that would let me live with him. I'm drinking, doing drugs, prostituting. He eventually kicked me out. I ended up homeless. I'm 29 years old, a mother of 2 children, and I'm homeless. So I did all the things that you got to do. I was running away from probation, right? And I don't know what egged me on, but I guess I got tired of running and sleeping in garages and being taken down to Dallas where they had these really secretive clubs. I had people tell me, you're too drunk to put to work and bring me back up to Waco because they didn't even know what to do with me. So I'd make a little bit of money. But anyways, I went back to the Freeman Center finally, ready to face my problems, just tired. Something within me didn't want to live that life. My mom was gone. My grandmother, she helped raise me a lot. I spent a lot of time with my grandma, and she was in contact with me a little bit. And I remember her saying, I don't think you really believe in God, when I was at the Freeman Center. Oh, yeah, and I got God in my life. And so, hi. And so, anyways, I went back to treatment at the Freeman Center. I stayed 30 days, and I met a guy. And we moved into the Mardi Gras together. He was sober, though. He's sober. He's not an alcoholic. He likes to smoke some stuff, but he never took a drink from the day we started dating. I got pregnant. We got married. We lived in the Mardi Gras, and what happened for the next 7 years is I did not drink. But I took pain medication. And I convinced myself for 7 years that, well, at least I'm not drinking. But here's what I did do for 7 years. I had two beautiful more children. I have Jacob and Lulabelle. Well, Lulabelle, then Jacob. We lived in hotels. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. It's not like he didn't do drugs, right? But he couldn't trust me, so he could never hold a job and leave me alone, right? And I've been blacklisted from every single ER here in Waco. As soon as I walk in, they got a little screen that says no narcotics, or something. I haven't seen the actual thing, but so then we moved to Louisiana because he had family out there. We lived in a broke-down trailer for a couple of years. I was blacklisted from all of the ERs near Lake Charles, Louisiana. Let's see, where else did we go? We went to Las Vegas. We lived in Las Vegas. We lived in a hotel in Las Vegas for a year because my mind had convinced me that, well, my son is in California. It's only 3 hours away, and I can tell you I never once made it to see my son. But I wasn't drinking. But I went to mental hospitals when I tried to detox, when I couldn't get any pills. I tortured that man. We ended up in Louisiana. I went to Vegas, then Louisiana. I ended up taking a drink. And what I can tell you is there was no thought. There wasn't a cloud on the horizon. What I will tell you is that I believed that I had to drink to overcome the pills. So that's what I did the next year. I would drink and drink and drink, so I'd start taking pills to get off the alcohol because I couldn't stop the alcohol. And then I would drink and drink, and it just went back and forth for a year. We ended up coming back here in 2016 to Waco because I remembered recovery. At this point, I'm 39 years old. I'm tired. As a married woman doing the things that I did to survive, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was just tired. We ended up living in the Sandman with 2 kids, 2 toddlers. We had a crock pot. We fed them rice and beans. There were roaches crawling around. It was gross. I paid my rent by working the other rooms. And I'm married. I'm a 39-year-old woman. I share these things because it's really, really important that people understand what the change looks like, what this psychic change is, okay? It talks about it on page 27. I'm going to read it. This is my favorite page. I'm going to read it. I never open up my book. I always forget to open up my book. This is my armor. Okay, on page 27, it says, here and there, once in a while, alcoholics have what are called vital spiritual experiences. To me, these occurrences are a phenomena. They appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes, which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men and women, are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begins to dominate them. That is what happens when you allow God, when I allowed God into my life, even when I didn't believe in him. And so all these things, and I'm going to tell you what it was like the day that I got sober. Husband took the kids, moved in with his mom, and I had been dropped off at Highway 6 and Franklin Avenue to walk. I was drunk. Somehow I made it back to my room. I do remember trying to walk into traffic, but funny thing is, people don't want to hit you. So I just remember people avoiding me. And made it, and so what I remember is, I remember the next morning just shooting up out of bed. And my ex-husband is standing in the doorway, and it's just an outline of him in the doorway. I know now, like when I look, when I have that memory, that I clearly can see angel wings. Okay, clearly, because there's just no other possibility. Because I wanted to die. I could not stop drinking, and I did not want to keep drinking. I didn't want to live that way anymore, and I didn't know how to do it. And he asked me if I was done, and I said yes. And so I went to the crisis center on November 25th. Oh, I gave your sobriety date. I'm November 27th, 2017. Okay. On November 25th, which was actually his sober date a year before, but neither here nor there, I went to the crisis center. November 27th, I went to Senecor. Yeah, because you're the 27th. Okay. Our sobriety dates are right next to each other. But anyways, so I went to Senecor, and I'm November 25th. You're 27th. Okay. So I said it right. It's been a minute since I've actually said it, which makes me think I need to say it more often. So anyways, I'm in Senecor. Third, fourth, fifth treatment center. I don't know what's going to be different. And I get this counselor, and his name is Mr. Wendell. And he's the coolest dude I've ever known. Okay, he wears the nicest shoes. He's always got a suit on. And he was a full-on addict in recovery, right? And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he says, do you believe in God? I mean, I guess. And I would just sit there and read the big book and do all the homework. Okay, I'm really good in institutions. I don't know about y'all, but I can follow rules real good. When I don't have a choice in the matter, I am big sister. I'm the leader. I'm the teacher's pet. I want everybody to like me. And I went up to Mr. Wendell one day because they said you had to get a sponsor, and women didn't go to Senecor. It's kind of an ongoing thing, right? It's still like that. And he said, well, have you asked God? Well, no, I don't. How do you ask God, And he said, here's what I want you to do right now. He said, I want you to go in the room. I want you to hit your knees. I want you to put your hands together, your elbows up on the bed, and I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to ask God to help you find a sponsor, whatever words come to mind. And here's the thing, at that point, I was so full of incomprehensible demoralization, right? I had the desperation of a drowning woman, and I really didn't want to die. I have these beautiful children. It's beautiful children that I'm in love with. It's the one good thing that I've done. And they deserved a mom. So I did exactly what he said. And I went in there, hit my knees, put my elbows up on the bed, put my hands together, close my eyes, and say, God, I don't know what to do. I just know I don't want to drink. And that night, a woman came to Senecor. She was the only person that showed up. And I ran up to her and I was like, will you be my sponsor? And so started my journey back with Alcoholics Anonymous. Man, I was big sister in Senecor. I actually sat down with her once a week and we worked the steps. And I did my first real fifth step in Senecor. But I remember sitting there at step 2 and I was terrified that I was going to fail Alcoholics Anonymous because I didn't believe in God. I did not believe in God, right? I just didn't know how to believe in God. And I would talk to Mr. Wendell and he'd say, what I want you to do is go in your room, hit your knees, put your elbows up on that bed again, put your hands together, close your eyes, and just talk to him. Tell him what you need, right? And at this point, I did what he said. My very, very first sponsor, she said when we got to step 2, and I'm like, I don't even know. I got to taste it, touch it, smell it, see it. Like, I don't understand how people are in church and they're dancing around and, I feel nothing. I don't feel anything. And she said, it doesn't matter what you feel. It matters what you do. And she asked me plain and simple, do you believe that I believe in a power greater than myself that has relieved me of my alcoholism, that has removed the obsession, that I have a glorious life now today because I believe in God? Do you believe that? And I said, I believe that you believe. And she said, that's all. Right? She said, that's it. And we moved on and we worked the steps and I did my first 4th step and it was probably horrible. But I was able to tell her some things that had happened to me. And the beautiful thing is she did not hold back and showed me where I was at fault for those things. Not at fault, what my part was, what my mistakes were. I mean, there are things that we don't have any responsibility for, that we have no control over. But I will tell you that every man I've ever been with, I manipulated. I played the victim. Okay? I cried and tried to get money off of people because poor me, and this happened to me, you drink too if this happened to me. I did that my whole life. And then I also never knew about forgiving. See, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is about love and forgiveness. When I came in, I did not have the capacity to love others and to forgive others. And what working the steps started doing in my life is rearranging my emotions, my thoughts, and my ideas. And every time crisis would happen, I'd call my sponsor. I started doing the things. I remember I asked Susan to be my sponsor when I was like 90 days sober or something, bless you. And here's why I asked her. She had 10 years and she was a nut. Loco. Okay? She was in a meeting crying, sharing on something. And after she shared, she got up because she had been crying and went to the coffee bar. And I thought, oh my God, if she can have 10 years of, if she has not drank and she still feels that way sometimes, then that means maybe I have a chance, right? Because I thought everybody in Alcoholics Anonymous who was sober is perfect, that they didn't have crap happen in their life. They didn't get flat tires. They didn't lose jobs. Because that's the way they look, right? They wear nice clothes, they talk nice, they have a nice purse, they have insurance on their vehicle. I mean, shoot, they have a vehicle, you know? And when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I had nothing. I had a car in repo that the brakes were so bad, people would not get in my car. Because they kept telling me it was going to catch on fire. That's what I had. Had an out-of-state driver's license. I did finally complete my other probation successfully, but I had new charges of disorderly conduct and resisting arrest, so I was on probation again. When I got out of Senecor, I moved in with my ex-husband. At the time, we were still married. And it was I had 30 days, and it was about 30 days of hell. I love you. I hate you. Get out. Stay. He couldn't make up his mind. He loved me and knew that the kids needed a mom. But I had done so much harm. I had, I can't even imagine even trying to work things out. And after about 30 days, I called my sponsor and I was like, man, I can't do this. I cannot. I would lock myself in the room and just open up my big book at 60 days sober because I didn't know what else to do, and just read it. And I was like, I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink. I cannot live in this. So when I talked to my sponsor, she said, I have a friend who's opened up a sober living. And I'm like, what's a sober living? And she said, why don't you call her? And I did. I called her. And she was, at the time, she was the owner of Sunshine Recovery House. And I actually knew her from 2008 when I got sober the first time. And she had been sober that whole time. And I told her what was going on. And she said, girl, move. Come on. You don't have any money? Come on. Just come on. And I did. And I knew that day that I was walking away from my kids again. But this time I was doing it because I did not want to drink again. The bottom line is I don't want to drink again, right? So I move into Sunshine Recovery House. There's only one other lady staying there. I think it had been open for a couple months. They had other houses, I think, the year before, but it was off of Alexander. My car eventually got repoed. And I moved in there. And it's really the first time I'd ever been sober and on my own-ish. And it had enough structure that they made this like the bottom line. You have to get a sponsor. You have to work the steps. I went to AA every single day. But this is how God shows up even when we don't believe. I moved into Sunshine Recovery House. My ex-husband was still kind of talking to me. I told him I wanted to see the kids, and he said, okay. He gave me the address. It was 2 blocks away from Sunshine Recovery House. 2 blocks. So I literally could walk to see my kids. And I spent the next couple years in sober living trying to build my life. And what I did is I'd pick my kids up from school. I'd come to a meeting. I did meet Dan. I think I had 60 days of sobriety. But he had a year. And what I know is that he came here. And so we spent the next year, I think I met him at like 60 days sober. But here's how our relationship looked. I picked the kids up from school. We'd go to a meeting, then we'd go to the park. On weekends, I'd pick the kids up, we'd come here, and then we'd go have lunch or go to the movies. And then we'd probably come back here. My kids were running around here in the meetings. But we were here every single day. He had a year, and he was here every single day. Slowly but surely, through the big book, and through taking suggestions, I learned how to pray. I think I was like 3 years sober when I was like, oh, wait, you can pray during the day? I seriously thought you got to wake up and pray and you go to bed and pray. I didn't know you could pray any time you want. I didn't understand what a conscious contact with God really meant. It meant that I am constantly connected to this power greater than myself. He has all power. I kept asking, I need an experience, God. I need an experience. Be careful what you wish for, because I have seen something that has let me understand that this battle is not with you guys. This battle goes beyond our understanding, okay? And this disease of alcoholism is so powerful that I can have everything in the world and I will still take that drink because I will be convinced that's the only way that I can feel okay. I've sponsored a lot of women, so many different personalities, but I think the biggest thing that I want to explain, the biggest thing, the biggest change in how I see and view the world is I learned forgiveness. I learned how to love people, even people I don't like. And what I have found is it's very few people I don't like, because we all are the children of God and we all deserve to be here. And I don't care what anybody's done. That seat has their name on it. And shame on anybody who wants to chase anybody out of here, whether they're an addict or an alcoholic, just because they don't say the right thing. This place is about living. It's about growing. It's about changing. And that means people with 20, 30, 40 years need to change and grow too. This is an uphill battle, friends. Let me tell you about this last year and then I'm going to shut up. I have an amazing marriage. I have my 2 children living with me. I run Sunshine Recovery House alongside another amazing woman. It's hard for me to believe how all that transpired, but eventually I was asked to help continue offering other women the same opportunity I had. And I said, heck yeah. And I'm still there. Every time I think I'm ready to go, God says, not yet. Put your brakes on. And my sponsor taught me that early on too. And so, I'm like 6 years sober and things are good. I got the best job, making the best money I have ever made. And what my sponsor forgot to tell me until after the fact is, hey, listen, you get to a point where you have just enough sobriety. You have just enough things that you get complacent. And complacency doesn't look like I'm pissed off and everything's turned to shit. Complacency looks like, oh, I don't need to call her today. Ooh, maybe I don't need to tell her the whole truth. And so I made some stupid financial decisions. I'm in a job that I need somebody to walk hand in hand with me and support me, and I'm asking nobody for help. Nobody. I'm just showing up and doing the best I could do. And I convinced myself that was enough. And it was. And I'm doing all the things. Right, I'm sponsoring, I'm helping run the house, I'm, doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not asking the woman who walked the path before me, I'm not throwing my stuff to her. I'm not saying, hey, what do you think about this? I'm running on self-will, thinking I got enough recovery that I can make these decisions. I don't need somebody to check my shit. I can do this, right? And the crazy, cunning, baffling thing about alcoholism is I don't even know. Like, this is just who I am and what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean I did some horrible things and stole. And what it means is that every aspect of my life, I should run by somebody. I cannot see truth, okay? It says so clearly, and I was so baffled by that sentence. The alcoholic's life seems the only normal one. I get that today. I understand that I see a different thing than what people see on the outside, right? And so I have to have that one person that I can say, hey, do you think this is a good idea? That knows me, that I trust. And I stopped trusting that other person that led me out of the darkness and I paid the price, right? And the reality is I don't know how close I was to a drink, right? I'm telling you, I don't want to drink. I don't think about drinking. But I mean, what if I'd gotten into a car wreck and they gave me pain medication, right? I mean, I have to be vigilant about my connection to God, my connection to my sponsor, and my connection to these rooms. And I have to be completely and rigorously honest at all costs. That doesn't mean I have to spill my beans to every single person in here, but I got to have one person that can check me. One person. One person that's married that says, hey, you're kind of being selfish when I think I'm the victim. Right? Because the way that I see the world is through the lenses of Natasha, not through God. And I don't care how connected I think I am to God. If I'm not being rigorously honest with another human being, my sponsor is preferable, or if you have a priest or however you choose to do, then I'm running so much on Natasha's will, and Natasha's will ends up in clubs in Dallas where people don't even want to pay her money because she's so drunk. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. If you're even so drunk, nobody even wants to, you know? That's pretty embarrassing. But that's who I am without a conscious contact with God. I was looking up, I was like, what does a conscious contact with God mean today, right? And I Googled conscious contact, and it says awake. Awake. And today I'm awake, and I'm aware, and I love people. I am a people person. Hard to believe I used to hide under desks, but man, the gifts that this program has given me, and it is not a car, it is not a house, it is not, oh my God, I love cats. I want a dog, but it's the ability not to get a dog just because I'm having an emotional breakdown, right? That's a cool thing this program has given me. I can make better choices most of the time, but what it's given me is a sense of belonging. I feel worthy. I grew up and I hated the way I looked. I hated, like, body dysmorphia, like all the things I've been diagnosed with, and I'm okay today. Like, it doesn't really matter because we are all beautifully, uniquely made, right? Each single hair on our head is designed just for us. And the thing is that every single person sitting in here has a story that is designed just for another person. And if we are not sitting in these rooms, then we're not here for the next one. My kids might need to come in here, God forbid. No. Hopefully not. I think I know which one's the alcoholic. But I believe in God today. I've seen some crazy shit. I depend. It was almost 7 years where I actually heard a guy that had like 60 days say, I've always believed in God, but I never depended on him. Boom. Right? The Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is designed to help bring us to God and have a conscious contact, right? And then to do that for another human being. It is that simple. It is that simple. Learn how to forgive. Forgive the person that you swore you'd never forgive. Forgive them because it doesn't hurt them. It only makes us sicker. And what I know today is that God has given every single one in this room the gift. This is a gift that we can give to another person. And so, hang on, guys. It's a wild ride. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks